Okay, here's a Chinese girl gonna say some outrageous shit with the black person with the stony eyes behind her just to make you scared.
Secondly, indoor fitness venues, such as gyms. And third, indoor entertainment, recreational, and event venues, such as theater shows or sports games. Starting January 15th, customers or patrons ages 12 and up
Alright, you can just see that for yourself. It's hideous, and I mean, you can just see, look at that she's got some kind of person just intimidating right over her shoulder so that she can act kind of like a geek, and everybody's just thinking of their, sweet and sour pork here, but she's saying something extremely hideous. So this should be actually called the hypocrite bill, because the word hypocrite means wearing a mask. Did you know that? It's from an old theater term where the ancient Greeks, you know how they had those theaters? In fact, it was a theater play that got Socrates slandered enough to the point where he was accused of impiety for the rumors of Aristophanes' clouds, and he was sentenced to death. And he willingly drank it. He could have escaped, but he didn't. He said, I don't want to live in such a stupid world. But in Plato's Republic, they did say the arts are really bad because they have a scope for effect. And what you just saw just now was an art, okay? And it's basically hypocritical, because you know what these people say about each other in the four walls of their own homes? Like the black lady, you know how they talk about Chinese people? And how the Chinese people talk about blacks, and how the Jews talk about blacks. In fact, the Jews were doing blackface up until the 70s. All these Hollywood wives of Jewish producers, they were still doing blackface. It was in the Time Life magazines. So this is like when I heard someone say something like, "Oh, I don't know why people are political." Well, Aristotle's dictum is that we are primarily political beings. In the Importance of Living from Lin Yu Kang, A Personal Guide to Enjoyment, we are primarily political beings. In other words, you get to an age of maturity, and then you realize, if we have different politics, meaning how you go about life and everything in it, like if you believe that garbage should be dumped on your lawn and I don't, well, we can't be friends. We simply can't, because that is such a fundamental difference. Sure, if you want to throw garbage on your lawn, if you're a farmer and you want to, do it that way, but if you can't apply these things wholesale, because that's insane. So politics are basically a way of dividing each other into, you can't be divided. And that's why she's saying it's a be together thing, which is a lie, because you're crazy. You can't be crazy. That's why you need the high IQs but they can't just be high IQs in one area. You have to be highly developed in every area, and you're not. He says here, mankind seems to be divided into idealistics and realists, and idealism and realism are the two great forces molding human progress. The clay of humanity is made soft and pliable by the water of idealism, but the stuff that holds it together is, after all, the clay itself, or we might all evaporate into Ariels. The forces of idealism and realism tug at each other in all human activities, personal, social, and national, and real progress is made possible by the proper mixture of these two ingredients, so that the clay is kept in the ideal, pliable, plastic condition, half moist, half dry, not hardened and unmanageable, not dissolving into mud. The soundest nations, like the English, have realism and idealism mixed in proper proportions, like the clay which neither hardens and so gets past the stage for the artist's molding, nor is so wishy-washy that it cannot retain its form. Some countries are thrown into perpetual revolutions because into their clay has been injected some liquid of foreign ideals which is not yet properly assimilated, and the clay is therefore not able to keep its shape. A vague
Uncritical idealism always lends itself to ridicule, and too much of it might be a danger to mankind, leading it in a futile wild goose chase for imaginary ideals. Well, here you go. I'm just going to stop here because he says a vague, uncritical idealism always lends itself to ridicule. Well, not anymore! Everything is vague and uncritical and idealist now. But unfortunately, they're the ones ridiculing the normals. Ah!